The mansion stood like a fortress on the edge of the city, an empire of glass, steel, and marble, looking down on the world with the same coldness as its master. Inside, silence ruled. Even the ticking of the grandfather clock in the hallway seemed hesitant, as if afraid of disturbing the man who owned everything yet trusted no one. Adrian Blackwell. To the world, he was a billionaire investor, ruthless and calculating, with a mind sharper than the sharpest blade. To those who worked inside the mansion, he was even less forgiving. Maids had come and gone, some too careless, some too greedy, and some too curious about the secrets buried behind the velvet curtains. Adrian had a simple rule: one mistake, and you're gone. No one lasted long. That morning, a new maid had been hired. She was young, quiet, and unlike the others, she did not seem dazzled by the wealth that surrounded her. Her name was Alara. When she walked into the mansion for the first time, the other staff had exchanged nervous looks. She won't last a week, whispered Mrs. Crane, the head housekeeper. No one ever does, but Adrian watched her carefully from a distance. Something about her presence was different, dignity in her posture, calmness in her eyes, as though she had seen worse than the cold emptiness of this place. And though he didn't show it, he felt the faintest spark of curiosity. That night, Adrian decided to do what he had done with every maid before her: test her. The master bedroom was vast, designed to intimidate. Dark velvet curtains framed tall windows. The grand piano rested in the corner, untouched for years. Chandeliers glowed faintly, their crystals scattering pale reflections across the room. Adrian lay on the king-sized bed, his breathing slowed, eyes half closed, pretending to sleep. He had seen it all before: maids who tiptoed to his drawers, searching for jewelry or cash. Others who lingered too long by his desk, tempted by confidential files. Some even whispered to each other in hallways, mocking him when they thought he wasn't listening. But tonight, Adrian expected nothing less. Trust was a foreign language to him. The heavy door creaked open. He kept his breathing steady, chest rising and falling in perfect rhythm. Through the sliver of his lashes, he saw her, the new maid. Alara. She moved quietly, her soft steps echoing across the polished floor. She wasn't carrying a duster or a tray. No, she seemed to come only with herself, small and calm in the enormous room. Adrian tensed inwardly. This was the moment. Go on, little maid. Show me who you are. But instead of rifling through drawers or glancing around the room with greedy eyes, she paused by the doorway. For a moment, she simply watched him. His heart gave a subtle jolt. Was she staring at him too long? Did she know he was awake? Then she did something no maid had ever done. Slowly, almost reverently, she walked toward the bed. She noticed the blanket had slipped slightly from his shoulder. With a gentle motion, she lifted it and tucked it back around him, as though protecting him from the night's chill. Adrian felt a strange heat rise in his chest. No one had touched him with such quiet care in years. Not since. He shut down the thought before it could reach his mother's memory. Alara didn't stop there. She glanced at the grand piano in the corner. For a long moment, she seemed torn between leaving and approaching it. At last, she moved, her steps soundless against the marble. Her fingers hovered above the keys, uncertain. Then, with delicate precision, she pressed down. A single note filled the room, soft but resonant. Adrian's eyes nearly snapped open. That sound, familiar, haunting. Another note followed, then another, weaving into a melody. A song. He knew too well. It was the same lullaby his mother had played for him when he was a boy, before she passed away. He hadn't heard it in decades. The billionaire who prided himself on control, on an iron heart that nothing could break, felt his chest tighten. His throat ached with the effort of keeping still. How did she know this song? Alara's face, lit faintly by the chandelier, was soft, almost sorrowful as she played. She seemed lost in memory, not even aware of her surroundings. Her hands trembled slightly, as though the music carried pain with it. When she finished, silence filled the room once again. She lowered her head, whispering something he could barely catch. May you find peace, sir. Peace. The word rang in Adrian's ears like a foreign language. She turned then, moving toward the door, silent as a shadow. Adrian's heart pounded. He should have confronted her, should have demanded how she knew that melody, what her intentions were. Instead, he remained frozen, his breath carefully controlled until the door closed behind her. Only when he was alone again did he let his eyes snap open. His hand clenched the sheets, nails digging into the expensive fabric. What game was she playing? Who was this girl who walked into his fortress of secrets and touched the one memory he had buried deepest? For the first time in years, Adrian Blackwell didn't have the answer. The following morning, the mansion carried on in its usual order. Breakfast was served at exactly 8. The staff moved briskly, speaking only when necessary. Yet Adrian's sharp eyes searched for her. Alara stood by the table, quiet as ever, pouring his coffee with steady hands. She avoided his gaze, but not out of fear, out of humility, perhaps. There was no greed in her eyes, no calculation. He studied her. Nothing in her manner betrayed what she had done the night before. No smugness, no hint of knowing. It was as if the piano had never been touched. Leave us, Adrian said suddenly. The staff froze, then hurried out. Only Alara remained, her posture straight, hands folded before her. Adrian leaned back in his chair, sipping his coffee slowly, eyes never leaving her. How long have you played the piano? Her head lifted, just slightly. For the first time, their eyes met. Her voice was soft but steady. Since I was a child, sir. He set the cup down, his gaze hardening. And the song you played last night. For a flicker of a second, surprise crossed her features. Then she bowed her head. I'm sorry, sir. I shouldn't have touched it. I only remembered the melody. It reminded me of someone I lost. Adrian's chest tightened again, though his expression remained stone. You remembered it. Where did you hear it? She hesitated. The silence stretched long enough for him to feel his patience fray. Finally, she answered. My mother used to sing it, she said softly. It was her way of praying for me. A lie, a coincidence, or something deeper. Adrian couldn't tell, and that, more than anything, unsettled him. He was a man who built empires on reading others, on predicting their moves before they made them. But this maid, this quiet, unassuming maid, was unreadable. And that made her dangerous. Or perhaps, necessary. That night, Adrian lay awake again, his mind replaying every note she had played, every whisper she had spoken. He told himself it was curiosity, nothing more. He needed to know why she knew the song, what her intentions were. But beneath the hard edge of suspicion, another feeling stirred, one he didn't recognize. Something warm, something human, something he had long ago locked away, and it scared him more than anything else. So, once again, he decided to test her, and once again, he would pretend to sleep. The second night came, and with it, Adrian Blackwell's decision to test the maid again. The billionaire lay still in his bed, body perfectly composed, as though carved from marble. He had built a reputation on control, and tonight was no different. Only this time, his mind wasn't calm, it was restless, heavy with questions he hated having to ask. The door creaked open. There she was again, Alara. moving quietly, respectfully. She didn't search drawers or steal jewelry, she didn't even glance around the room with curiosity. Instead, she walked straight toward him, her expression unreadable. Adrian's chest tightened as she stopped by his bedside. For a long moment, she just looked at him, studying his face in the dim glow of the chandelier. Then, with a sigh, she whispered, "You don't even look peaceful when you sleep." His heart skipped a beat. She thought he was asleep, yet spoke as though speaking to him anyway. "You guard yourself even in dreams," she continued, voice barely audible. "But, I hope you know you're not alone. No matter how much you think you are." The words struck him like arrows. She adjusted his blanket again and then, hesitated. Her eyes flickered toward the piano. Adrian waited, tense. Would she play again? But instead, she clasped her hands together and bowed her head. And then, she prayed. Not loudly, not dramatically, but softly, with sincerity that filled the vast emptiness of the room. "God, watch over him. Heal what's broken in him. Help him find the peace he doesn't know how to ask for." Adrian's mask nearly shattered. No one had prayed for him since his mother's death. No one had cared enough to. He had money, power, and control, but not this. Not genuine compassion. His throat tightened. For a terrifying moment, he almost sat up, almost demanded why she would care, what she wanted in return. But he forced himself to stay still, to keep the pretense alive. When she finally left the room, Adrian opened his eyes, his hands shaking against the sheets. He had tested her twice. Both times, she had revealed something not of greed, but of kindness. Something pure, and that terrified him more than betrayal ever could. The next morning, Adrian summoned her. She entered the study cautiously, standing straight before his desk. The massive shelves towered around them, leather-bound books watching like silent witnesses. "You've been here for 3 days," Adrian said, his voice smooth, cold. "Do you plan to last longer than the others?" Alara bowed her head slightly. "That depends, sir. If I do my work well, perhaps." He leaned back in his chair, studying her. Her calmness was maddening. "And if I told you I don't trust you?" Her gaze lifted, meeting his without fear. "Then I would keep working until you did. Or until you dismissed me." He hated that answer. Hated that she wasn't rattled. Hated that she didn't break under pressure like the rest. And yet, he admired it. "You played the piano," he said suddenly. Her breath caught, barely visible, but he noticed. "Why that song?" His voice sharpened. "Where did you hear it?" For a moment, she said nothing. Then she inhaled softly. "My mother. She used to sing it when life was hard. She said it was a song of hope." Adrian's eyes narrowed. "Hope. Yes, sir. Even in dark places, she believed music could light a way." His jaw clenched. Convenient story. Her voice trembled, just slightly now. "It's not a story. It's my life." For the first time, her composure cracked. Not much, just a shadow of pain across her face. But it was real, and it made him pause. Adrian dismissed her with a wave of his hand, but her words stayed with him long after she left. That evening, he poured himself a drink in the study, staring at the crackling fire. He couldn't escape it, the memory of his mother's lullaby, the way Alara's voice carried sincerity, the way she prayed for him when she thought he was asleep. Could it be coincidence? Or was fate cruel enough to send him someone who carried fragments of his past? When Alara returned to tidy the room, Adrian finally broke. "Why?" he asked suddenly. She looked up, startled. "Sir, why pray for me?" His voice was low, dangerous. "Why show kindness to someone you don't know? Do you think pity will earn you favor?" Her eyes softened, though her hands trembled. "No, sir, I don't pity you. I just know what loneliness looks like." The words sliced through him. He rose, stepping closer, towering over her. "And what do you think you know of me? Of my loneliness?" She held her ground. "Only what your silence says. Only what your eyes don't hide, no matter how hard you try." For a moment, they stood there, billionaire and maid, predator and prey, yet somehow reversed. It was Adrian who felt exposed. He turned away abruptly, his chest heaving. But her words lingered. Days passed. Adrian found himself watching her more than he cared to admit. She was efficient, quiet, never overstepping her role. Yet every so often, he caught glimpses of her humanity, her humming softly as she cleaned, her gentle way with the old gardener, her careful attention to the smallest details of the house. And every night, he tested her again, pretending to sleep, pretending not to hear. Each time, she did something unexpected. One night, she simply covered him with the blanket again and whispered, "Rest. You carry too much." Another night, she left a glass of water on his bedside table. Another, she sat silently by the piano but didn't play, as though afraid to disturb him. Each act chipped away at his walls. Until finally, he could take it no longer. One stormy night, lightning flashing against the tall windows, Adrian confronted her. She was in the library, dusting quietly. He entered, his presence heavy, his eyes burning with questions. "Enough games," he said. She froze, then turned, her face calm but pale. "You think I don't know?" Adrian's voice thundered in the vast room. "You think I haven't noticed? Every night, you come into my room. Every night, you speak when you believe I'm asleep. Every night, you—" His voice faltered. He hated that it faltered. "You play my mother's song." Alara's eyes filled with something he didn't expect, tears. She set down the duster, her hands trembling. "I didn't mean to intrude," she whispered. "Then why?" His voice cracked with desperation he couldn't hide anymore. "Why do it? Why me?" She looked at him, and for the first time, her own walls crumbled. "Because, I owe you." The word stunned him. "What?" She stepped closer, her voice trembling. "Years ago, there was an orphanage. You never spoke of it, but I know. You funded it quietly, kept it alive when no one else would. I was a child there. You saved me without ever knowing my name." Adrian's world tilted. She continued, tears slipping down her cheeks. "My mother used to sing that lullaby in the orphanage. When I played it, I didn't know you would hear. But when I saw you, I recognized the man who once saved my life. And I couldn't just be your maid. I couldn't stop myself from praying for you." Adrian staggered back, the weight of her words crushing him. Memories flooded, charity work he had hidden from the public, money he gave not out of kindness but out of guilt, trying to bury the pain of his past. He had forgotten the orphanage. Forgotten her. But she had not forgotten him. His chest heaved. Why didn't you tell me?" Her voice broke. "Because I didn't want your gratitude. I only wanted to give back what you once gave me, hope." Silence fell. Only the storm raged outside, thunder rolling like the beating of his heart. Adrian, the man who trusted no one, who tested everyone, who believed kindness was a mask for greed, felt his walls shatter. For the first time in years, he let himself feel. The next morning, the mansion was different. Lighter, somehow. The staff noticed their master's softened expression, the way his voice carried less edge. Adrian sat in the grand hall, watching as Alara passed by with her usual calm grace. She met his eyes, and for once, he didn't look away. Trust was foreign, love, even more so. But for the first time, Adrian Blackwell wondered if perhaps, just perhaps, he could learn again. All because a maid he tried to test, had passed in a way he never expected.